Alrighty. It is the Central Seductress, aka Alluring, back with the Central Garden podcast. My apologies. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Well, my other phone on Do Not Disturb, and I got a call. It was kind of important, so I took it. But anyway, let's get back to this contract thing. So we talked about the health. We talked about the skin. We've talked about the medicines and the mental and the physical and the free bleeding and all of that good stuff. We've talked about, my opinion is both parties should have a contract with expectations. We talked about communication, all that good stuff. So, what about finances? I know I touched on it a little bit with who pays for what and when and what. But let's talk about finances in a long distance dynamic. Who pays for the travel? And when I say the travel, I'm talking the airfare, bus fare, or train fare, or gas from point A to point B. Who pays for that? Who pays for the hotel or the Airbnb or the extended stay once that person reaches you? Who pays for dinner? We have to assume that no one in a long distance relationship is going to pay for everything. If we're in a long distance relationship, maybe it should go. If I pay for my travel expense, you pick up the tab for hotel. I may pay for dinner the first night. You can pay for dinner the second night. Feel free to buy me all the trinkets you want, because if I want you to have something, I'll buy them for you. It can be worked out several different ways. But if you are in a long distance relationship, in my opinion, just mine, you cannot expect one person to carry the load, the financial load, for the entire trip. But that's just me. That's just me. That is just me. That is not tried and true or anything like that. That is the Central Seductress, aka Alluring's opinion. That's my opinion. You do what works for you. The only thing that I will add to that is make sure that it's fair, because finances get tricky. And if you're dependent on one person to take care of everything, what happens if that person is put in a position where they can't take care of everything? Does that mean it's over? You have to allot for room for incidentals and accidentals, and we don't think about those things. Trust me, my younger years, I didn't think about any of that. If you didn't have it, you didn't have it, and guess what? We were done. Depending on what it was. I'm not going to tell y'all I was a hard ass my whole life, because I wasn't. I'm still not a hard ass. But We got to put stuff in perspective. We have to. We have to put stuff in perspective, and we have to stop asking people to do things that we wouldn't do. You can't expect others to do for you what you wouldn't even do for yourself and or for them. Think about that. Think about that. I know that was a little bit touchy. Probably stepped on a few toes. But these are just my thoughts, my opinions, all that good stuff. If you go on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, I have reels and video about the contract and what the contract means and things that you should put in the contract. And then I added my own 2 cents. Sure did. But yeah, you got to discuss those finances, because the taking over or being in control of finances doesn't always just happen in a master-slave relationship, and it doesn't always happen in a TPE, total power exchange. It can happen in a regular DS dynamic. So that needs to be in there. In my opinion, it needs to be in there. So I'm there. Finances, we got the communication, we have the medical. What's left? What do you think is left? And no one's answer will be the same. How long are we in this contract? Is it for a year? Is it for 2 years? What are we allowed to do within this contract, and what are we not allowed to do within this contract? Especially if you are practicing BDSM and being poly or ethical non-monogamy. What are the limitations that you have when it comes to the outside world? Outside of this dynamic that we have, what can you not? Is it okay to just bring somebody into our BDSM dynamic? You got to think about these things. You got to think about these things. So much so, I was trying to lighten it up for a second. Triggers should be in a contract. Have you had sexual trauma? Have you endured domestic violence? Mental abuse? You need to know these things, so you'll need to know so you can know how to handle the situations that may come up. Does a color trigger you? Does a certain type of movie, restaurant, smell trigger you? A certain outfit trigger you? Look, I think I'm the most special person. I'm about to say retarded. I think I'm almost the most special person on earth. I cannot stand chipped nail polish, cracked paint. Yep. I can't. Even to the point, and y'all might think this is so petty, I do not like dirty fingernails. Nope. Creeps me smooth the fuck out. Cannot. Cannot. Nope. Can't deal with it. When food is left over and it is solidified, like grits or oatmeal and stuff like that, and it's left over and it's left on the stove and it solidifies and stuff, and it start to have little cracks in it. I can't look at it. It grosses me out. It does. If you put my toilet paper if you put my toilet paper on the roll wrong, it, yeah, we all messed up. But it's these things that we need to work out when we're talking about a dynamic and stuff like that, because we don't want to intentionally hurt someone. We don't want to intentionally hurt ourselves. And most importantly, we don't want to intentionally be a disappointment by being rumored as we didn't listen, we didn't pay attention, we didn't ask the questions. We don't want that on us. Period. Nobody, the top, the bottom, the in between, we did not want that. Don't want it. So what about a contract between the play partners? I think that is cool. And it should include how many times are we going to sing together? What do these scenes entail? Who's responsible for the cleanup? Who's responsible for bringing the implements? What type of scenes are we going to do? What is the expectation? We need to do all of that. And still, you need to go back and discuss the health and the emotional stuff, because that plays a part. Because you don't know, like I said earlier, somebody might be allergic to latex. Well, you can't use latex. You can't use latex. And then, what if you're into something, be it the top or the bottom, but the opposite of you has not considered it, has not tried it, has not nothing? So you need to have a clause in your contract that says you have permission to play with X, Y, or Z because they are proficient in this area. And maybe even in the other person's contract, I will find a mentor for this. Now, if it's something that the other person is just absolutely uncomfortable with, nope, no need to find a mentor, nothing like that. That's not their kink. They're not interested, don't want to learn. And guess what? You don't force the issue. That's when you have to decide, can we still do this? Or do we need to put a pin in it? You got to decide that. You have to. The contract can be legally binding. From what I read when I did my little research, it can be legally binding. Just all depends. Now, this is where the stuff becomes really, really interesting. And probably not interesting for so many people, but it was interesting for me. So, a DS contract can be legally binding. It can be. Just all depends. But of course, you should have an exit clause in any contract. You should. So, from what I did with my study, and I talked to a person that's in the community, she identifies herself as a slave, and I asked her, did they have a contract? She said they talked about a contract, but they don't have a contract. And they've been in this dynamic for 13 years, and I applaud that. I applaud it, I applaud it, I applaud it. But what I found in my reading, first of all, I already knew that the word slave is a trigger for a lot of people. So let's just start right there. Me being black, I already know. Slave, that's a trigger. That is a trigger. And for those that can happily call themselves a slave, I admire you. Do what you do and enjoy your dynamic. No ill will, nothing like that. Enjoy your dynamic. I wish that you all would come to the forefront if you can and help educate the rest of us on how you reconcile with that word. Because that word has an ugly connotation behind it. And I don't even know if it's a connotation because we know slavery was real. So, anywho, what I found was the word slave, and I didn't know this, and I don't know it to be for sure in the community where I am, but the word slave is not only frowned upon in general society, it's frowned upon in the BDSM lifestyle. Like, wow, who knew? Because I didn't know till I started doing some reading. You cannot do a master-slave contract because slavery is basically outlawed everywhere. So a master-slave contract is not legally binding. And, well, I'm not going to say you can't do it. You can do it if you want to, but if you decide to walk away, said master or whatever, yeah, they can't take you to court. They may be able to take you before a BDSM council or board or whatever, but they can't take you to court. Because slavery is outlawed in damn near everywhere. So, my question became, well, if they enter into a master slave thing, how do they not legitimize, because that's not what I want to say, but how do they put things in perspective? And I know we can have a verbal commitment, but if there's nothing written, what do we have to refer to? And after talking to a couple of people, it really just borderlines and boils down to trust. Absolute trust. Because that's not a contract. Okay, so a DS contract shouldn't be entered in a couple of days or whatever. But a master slave contract, I'm assuming from what I've learned in talking to a few people, that verbal contract may be in negotiation for up to, 6 months to a year. And I'm fine with that because you need to be sure as to what you're doing. You need to be sure. Is there a way out? Are there negotiations? Because a lot of people think that when you serve in a slave role, you have no rights whatsoever. It doesn't work like that in all dynamics. I think people forget that there's no one size fits all in BDSM. Yeah, you got the old guard and stuff like that, and I was raised like this, and this was this, and this was this, and you got some of them that'll say that, and they'll say the submissive can't end the contract until the D decide that he or she wants to end the contract because the submissive has no rights, no this, no that. At sweetie. No. You have the right to leave, especially if something has been broken that just cannot be repaired. But that's why you put those different clauses in there. But in a master slave thing, I think that all of it requires trust, but I think that that one requires a deeper level of trust. You have to be so aware of who you are and so confident in who you are that you can place that label on you and be all right. And again, I commend those who can. I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't gotten there yet. But it's all good. No harm, no foul. Because I respect you and I admire you because you're doing something that I can't do right now. Well, never mind that I don't have a partner, so that's number one. Let's start right there. I don't have a partner for a dynamic. But number two, yeah, I have to figure that thing out mentally. Because it has a lot of things in it. But again, when you are sure of yourself and sure of who you are and you know who you are and you know where you came from, baby, you can walk in anything. And you can have any title. And you command respect. So, hey, I'm all for it. But these contracts, y'all, I don't think that they're to be taken lightly. I don't think that they should be for fun. I read somewhere where the lady said, doesn't it just feel good and isn't it fun to just go through this with a fine-tooth comb and sign your name? The fuck is fun about this, honey? This is serious. But I get it. We all don't have the same sense of humor. We all don't have the same sense of humor. And I'm almost positive that there are a lot more things that I did not include that could be included in the contract. But for the most part, I would like to think that I have covered the basics of a contract. And again, for the play partners, y'all need to put in there, how many scenes are you going to do? For how long is this going to work? Are you allowed to play with other people? Am I allowed, if this was my agreement with you, am I allowed to play with other people? Another thing you need to put in these contracts, oh my God, I forgot, because a lot of people confuse BDSM with sex. Is this platonic or is it sexual? Because some people think when they become your dominant or your mistress or whatever, that they have full control over you in every aspect of your life. Those things need to be put down in black and white in a contract. You want your boundaries respected. You want to be heard. You don't want it to be a guessing game. The contract is a reference if somebody forgets. It's a reference if I change my mind on something. One of my absolute no's could be a maybe now. One of my absolute yeses can be a no. We have this stuff in writing so that we can go back and look at it and be like, we need to adjust this. Okay, we found that we tried this and this didn't work for either of us. Let's take this out. I think the contract would make a lot of relationships dynamics much better. I think that they will be more understanding. I just think that they will work out a whole lot better in the end. That's just my theory. So I hope that this has helped you all. Again, I am doing this for my YouTube and for the podcast. This podcast has been brought to you by Alluring or Central Seductress. Hey, it just all entails of how you want to call me, whatever you think. And for those of you who are watching me on YouTube, I am looking at my phone because I want to do a shout out to, there is a young lady in my area and she has a thing called Love Doesn't Hurt. And it is for LGBTQ plus people who may have been in a domestic violence situation. You can find this information posted on any of my social media. You can email me at the Sensual Garden, spelled just like the podcast, at gmail.com. I will send you the information. Again, we're in October. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I want everybody to be healthy, to be happy, to be safe, sane, and consensual. I still have my interviews coming up. It's just been crazy. We're going back to work and stuff. Yeah, I'm back at work. Yay, me. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope it starts the conversation between people. I hope it starts the conversation amongst you and your friends. Even vanilla people can use a contract, even if it's just for the bedroom. Hey, it might work for people just trying to live together to see if they're going to get married. Who knows? It just might work. Try it. You might like it. Like what that Life commercial said. Hey, Mikey, he likes it. So, okay, y'all. Try the contract. You might find that you like it. So, again, don't forget to shop. TheSensualGarden.com. Yes, it's still open 24/7. You can shop away. If you need to book a fun party, divorce party, girls' night out, any of that, drop me an email. TheSensualGarden@gmail.com. Find me on social media. I'm just here trying to put the education out there. Y'all keep it safe. Keep it sane. Keep it consensual. And give me some feedback. If you want to donate to help this podcast and help me continue to do what I do, the Cash App is the $ Sensual Garden, spelled just like the podcast. Until next time, ta-ta.